Hello, welcome back to Madrona's Pulse Teachings. I am Iris and we are chatting about the astrology of the week ahead. We are talking about July 21st through the 27th, and really the cosmic conversations that we are working with this week really do revolve around this very powerful new moon that we come into on the 24th. And so really how I want to weave this kind of forecast for the week ahead is what's building up to that new moon and then how we're emerging out of that new moon, because the outer planets are talking with this new moon that is in Leo at 2 degrees of Leo. And that is something that we're working with all week. So we really want to open to understanding that this is a transformative week, and it's not just the new moon day, the 24th, that we're really working with these energies. That's when we have that conjunction of the sun and the moon. And that is when we have this very potent seeding in, especially if you work with kind of new moon intentions. That is the time we really want to cultivate some space to feel into what you're feeling. But even as we move out of the 24th, really into next week, we are working with the sun still in a pretty tight orb with the outer planets, okay? And especially with that opposition to Pluto. So that sun being opposite Pluto, we're going to feel that the 25th, the 26th, as it's leading us out of this week. And that is transformative energy. Okay, so some of the themes that we're working with this week, as we come into this week, just want to name, we are coming out of that strong conjunction of Mars conjunct the South Node at 19 degrees of Virgo. How we really feel that energy, it's going to depend upon how this is speaking with our natal chart, of course, but just that archetypal resonance that we feel in our body psyche, that is a drain on the body. That is a drain of energy. It's intended to be a drain because as we're kind of pulled into a bit of a yin place, there is deep karmic work going on that is helping us to release some of the Virgo clinging to, especially control, especially to putting a lot of pressure on oneself to perform a certain way. That Virgo conjunct Mars is a drain of that Mars active Virgo energy that can be a perfectionist, that can kind of have an idea of how something should be and get too caught up in the should and the idea of it and get totally disconnected from what is ideally always spurring Virgo energy forward, which is its connection to the opposite, Pisces, the call of the divine, right? And so this South Node with Mars is kind of draining that Mars active, especially out of any Virgo fear-based ways, so that North Node in Pisces can really be felt and stream into that Mars, which is where we let go of control, where spirit, goddess, universe is just working with us, and we are doing what we can to bring material form to manifest the calling that we're co-creating with. So knowing that we start the week off, and that can be a bit of an energy drain, and just really taking care of the body and the mind during the beginning of this week as Mars is kind of separating from that South Node. And then we start coming into the sun entering Leo. Okay, so the sun enters Leo on the 22nd. Happy solar return to all of our Leo suns out there. And the moment that sun enters Leo, it comes into a stronger conversation with all of the outer planets, which is going to culminate in different stages throughout this whole week. And then we're really going to feel it when we have the new moon on the 24th. But the sun comes into Leo and it begins to sextile Uranus, who's recently entered Gemini, and it also sextiles Sedna, who's there at those beginning degrees of Gemini. It also comes into a fire trine with our Neptune and Saturn, who are both retrograde. And then it starts building towards its opposition with Pluto, who's retrograde in Aquarius. So again, we have got the sun coming into Leo with a bit of a bang this year, because as that happens, Leo season begins with that sun going through this deep transformative moment, which is this week, with all the outer planets. Now, yes, it is a sextile to Uranus and Sedna. It is a trine to Neptune and Saturn. We tend to kind of teach and think about those aspects as supportive, as just flowing, and they are. Yet we're talking about the Great Awakener. We're talking about Neptune conjunct Saturn, which is this active dissolving of selfhood and Aries, coming into the Leo sun, which is the season to embrace our sense of self, of joy and creativity. And so even though it's a trine and a sextile, that's a lot of energy. And so you really want to feel what's coming up, and you want to feel where you feel inspired, where you want to direct your energy, especially your creativity. Leo season is a time when we want to feel and claim and move from our courageous love and fire. It is fire energy that is here to literally be the feeling of creative divine energy streaming through us, and we create with that. And this week is especially about creating, not performing. When Leo is driven by fear, when it has been strongly conditioned, when it has been in survival mode, Leo learns how to perform, and it performs like no other in order to receive external validation. And that is exactly what Leo coming into its what the Sun in Leo coming into its opposition with Pluto wants to break down. Okay, so if there are any places, any relationships, any dynamics where there is a strong conditioning of, well, when I do this and I show this kind of side of myself and I perform in this way, this person is happy or this person accepts me. This week, we might be shown the ways that we don't want to do that anymore. That our energy and our kind of conditioning to show up that way is going through a breakdown so that we can break through. That is the opposition with Pluto, and that's building all this week, and it's exact as we come into our new moon on the 24th. Okay, and while that's happening, there's a trine to Neptune at 2 degrees as well. So that Neptune is saying, yes, show your authentic joy, because that is what connects you to spirit. And in the realities that we are moving in, we need to show our authentic joy, our authentic creativity. We are not entering a time in which performing is going to help us in the realities that are birthing. This is a major moment this whole week to feel into the ways that paradigms are shifting. Now, they are shifting in the collective, and they are shifting towards radical spiritualization for the collective, and the way that we are all individuals living our own interwoven and different stories within that collective. And this is a week in which the way that the paradigms are shifting, we are being shown, especially on the 24th with the new moon, how to seed into the intentions that we want to embody from a heart-centered way. And this is absolutely not about receiving external validation. It is about moving from what connects you to your fire, what connects you to love with a capital L, what connects you to feeling like you are living the call. And the thing is, that call is being reshaped right now. Because as Neptune and Saturn are in this complicated dance, and they are both retrograde, and they are heading back to Pisces, and we are going to journey with them there as we move into the end of 2026 and the last part of, the end of 2025, journeying us into 2026, we are going to have that call of soul reshaped. And this is a week in which we can kind of feel into that. And it is about the Leo sun breaking through any way that it was told it had to show up in order to be accepted, in order to be validated. That Pluto in Aquarius is working to completely break down the social patternings that keep us from being authentic in ourselves and also evolving as collectives. And this is in all realms. It is not just in politics. It is in the whole way that we do this human journey. If we are critiquing one aspect of power over, and yet we're laughing and enjoying entertainment that is replicating every single paradigm of power over, it's still in psyche, it's still in body, it's still in the collective narrative. This is about eradicating power over ideologies from how we go about being organized as humans and how we go about understanding our own journey. And this is a week in which, because there is this strong conversation streaming in from all the outer planets, in which we can really feel into that. And it can light something in us. Now, it's a dark moon. So it's lighting something in us in a yin moment. The new moon is a time of cultivating quietude, of listening. It's wonderful to journal with this, to make art with this. That plays into the Leo creativity. And if you only have 5 minutes, you have 5 minutes. If you have an hour on the 24th, you have that. If it's on the 25th, you just do it when you can. But it is absolutely a week to keep checking in with what is coming up. What are you feeling? What is releasing? What is being let go of? You know, that phrase is so, we use that phrase so much, letting go. And there is massive energy of letting go with the outer planets right now and through the next few months. And yet the letting go really happens when our mind and heart and body are all aligned and we are witnessing what we're letting go of, when we're holding it in ritual. And a new moon is a wonderful time to hold ritual, to hold ceremony, for loving your own creative source. Leo also brings us into inner child work. It brings us into really creating the environment and the space to feel the joy that the inner child wanted, to feel the joy that the child self wanted. And for usually a whole bunch of very complicated reasons, there's all different scenarios and reasons why we got kind of silenced or we had to push certain parts of ourselves down. And this Leo new moon is a wonderful time to embrace that inner child, to play with her, him, or them, to take them, you know, on a little adventure, whatever you want to do. Maybe you sit in meditation and imagine that as a journey, or maybe you actually get in the car with something that represents your inner child and you kind of go and you enjoy. And doing that is going to help work with that Pluto energy that wants to kind of blast off any of the layers that got put on that child self, so that, you know, you began to kind of perform a certain way as the character in your own life. And this is about becoming not a character, but yourself, and rewriting the stories of our lives. And the outer planets are rewriting reality. And so our stories are shifting. And this is the energy of this week. It is as the sun, like we have that new moon, and then the moon's going to move on, and then the sun is going to slowly come out of its strong conversations with the outer planets, but that's happening all week. So just knowing that this energy is here, it's transformative, it is breakthrough, it is big, and I am sending you lots of love as you navigate it all, and I will see you soon. Be well.